Hi there and welcome to Hyundai Power Products. My name is Adrian and today we're going to look at this HYW1900E Electric Pressure Washer. So I'm going to lay the contents out on the table so you can see exactly what you get. But one point of interest, when you open the box, don't use any sharp implement, something like a pair of scissors up through the top so you don't damage the contents before you even start. So I've laid the entire contents of the packaging out on the table here for you to see. So we have the main unit itself, as you can see here, obviously the large unit with its power lead and 13 amp plug. We have the user manual here. Now I do strongly recommend that you read the user manual thoroughly before use. In the bag with the user manual was a little turbo tip, the winding handle for the drum, we shall show you that later, a bag of screws, the inlet connector with the filter. Then we have the two wheels which we have to assemble. We have the hose reel which we have to assemble, a few other clips and brackets, the top handle being this one. Now there is a precise order in which we need to do this, so you need to put it together in the correct order. We have the actual high pressure hose here. Here we have its lance with its standard nozzle. We have this extension bar here. Now I'll come over to the goodies, all sorts of goodies come with this machine. We have the flat surface cleaner. And this extension pole screws onto the flat surface cleaner. If you were wondering why it doesn't connect, that's what it's for, the flat surface cleaner. Again, I mentioned the lance in two pieces. We have the foamer bottle for foam. I've mentioned the flat surface cleaner. We have the detailing brush here, which again fits onto the lance. And the main brush here, which fits onto the lance as well. So that's the contents of your packaging. So the first part of the assembly we're going to do is to attach this little accessory cable holder. So you see two holes, and I'm going to take two of the screws out of the pack. And you can see two little lugs here on the back of the machine. So I'm going to pass the screws through here into these two little lugs and then tighten them up with a crosshead screwdriver. So I'll place one in first, get the screwdriver, just line the end of that screw up while I can see what I'm doing. That's perfect, let's get it started. Before we tighten the other one up, pop that one in the hole, get it in the little location, just get that one started. And there we are, we can tighten these two screws all the way in. So as you can see, I've got it on a nice flat surface. I've put the machine on its side and the wheels will just pop into the hole. So a good firm push, here we go. That's one wheel fitted. Flip it over onto the other side, exactly the same, and fit the other wheel. So the next part of the assembly, or sub-assembly, is to put a little hose reel together. So you'll see it's in two halves, much the same method. We've got four holes here and four upstands on this part. They'll only go together one way, so I'll just line up the two halves and just put the two halves together. There we are. So next step, the final four screws. I'm going to drop them down into the holes, put all four down in, and tighten up the four screws. I'll just get them started first. All four to start. Okay, all seems good. So now I'll just continue and tighten down the four screws. So having assembled the hose reel, we need to pre-assemble this top end here. So this is the handle on the top, the winding handle for the hose reel, and the hose reel itself. So it's important we get this hose reel the right way round. So you'll see a stepped lug on this side. It goes on this side where there's no hole. This side has a hole right through, as you can see. And you'll see a castellated end on this side. So the castellated end goes on the side with the hole right through. So as you can see, it doesn't naturally fit in there, but at this stage, before we fit the machine to the unit, there's enough spring in the plastic just to locate the little hose reel in there. With that done, we can then fit the handle, locate it in, and a good firm push. There we are, and that's the hose reel connected with its winding handle into the upper handle. So now that we've done this sub-assembly, we can fit the handle from the top of that reel all onto the unit itself. So you'll see these two slots, and if you think we have a smooth side and a smooth side of the handle, they need to stay together. So if I just rotate it round, we've got the hollow side at the back, smooth side at the front, and I'll just slide these and click it into position. There we are, click, click, and that's it, it's fitted. So I've just removed the two cable ties that held the hose in position, and I actually cut them with a scissors rather than a knife because I didn't want to cut the hose accidentally. So I'm just going to show how to reel the hose onto the hose reel, the storage hose reel. So using this end here, you'll see the little hole. I'll just pop that through the hole, and then you can gradually wind it up and try not to tangle or knot the hose. I have unraveled the hose out straight, and as you can see, it's forming a nice pattern as I reel the hose onto the reel. So now we're going back the other way. We can go back, try and keep it tidy if you can, until we get to the end of the hose. Here comes the last little bit, and there we are. That's the hose on the hose reel. So on the front of the machine here is the water inlet. So this is where we would connect up the water from the tap to run the machine. Now it is supplied with this inline filter here, which can be cleaned. So without cross-threading it, be very careful, it should go on really easy as you can see, and then just tighten it up against the rubber. So obviously this end is a quick release fitting that you can connect any garden hose up to. So that said, if you're going to transport this around, it is worth just removing this inlet filter just to prevent it getting damaged should it get knocked in the back of a van or in the garden shed by something coming in and out. So I would recommend just to remove this when not in use. So as I said, just to recap, being careful as you start, should just screw on by hand all the way, and then a final tighten up onto the rubber seal. So as you saw earlier, the hose is here in its storage position. The rear connector here is for connecting up the pressure hose. So I'm going to unreel it from its storage position and connect it up onto this outlet here. So your pressure hose has two different shaped ends. This larger one here with the big ferrule is the one that connects on here, and your pressure lance would connect onto this quick release fitting here. So if I just put my hose down, I'm just going to push the plunger into the hole, and then again it should screw on fairly easily so we know we're not cross-threaded. Last couple of turns, just make sure that it's well hand tight. So first once or twice that you do this, it may be a little bit stiffer than other times, but once you've done it once or twice, there we are, that's nice and tight on there. So that's the outlet hose connected. So this step couldn't be simpler. The quick release fitting, place it there, push the red button in, push the hose in firmly, let go of the button. The button will spring out into this position when you know you're firmly locked. To remove the coupling for storage, simply push the button, pull the coupling back out again. So as we spoke about earlier, your machine comes with all sorts of different accessories and tools. The standard lance, you will see, it's got this twist type connection. So it'll only go in one way, and you'll see if I try and put it in that way it won't fit. Then it pops in. So good push and turn, and that's locked into position. So this would be your standard lance. Now what I will say is that there's a little pin here which is kept in this little sleeve. Now this is for clearing out the jet in the end of the lance. So should you get a bit of grit or dirt that comes through, that little pin is for clearing out the jet. So what I would recommend is that you remove this and put it in a safe place for when you need it. Okay, so with that said, on the end we have the variable jet here. By turning this we can alter the pattern, as you can see. So alternatively, instead of the fan pattern nozzle, we have this turbo nozzle which rotates with the pressure of fluid. To fit it, push the release button, push in, let go of the release button, and that's the turbo nozzle fitted. To remove it, push the button, pull it out, and we can swap between nozzles quite easily. So to remove the nozzle, or the end of the lance, we push it in this direction, just a small amount like that, rotate it, and out it comes. And that would allow us to fit all of the other accessories in the same way. So obviously we've got the brush here. If I locate that, that's it, that's the brush in, push it in, turn, remove it. exactly the same with this brush. Now the flat surface cleaner, you don't want to be very close to the ground with a flat surface cleaner. So we have this intermediary piece. So this screws on here. You'll see the screw on end. That screws onto the cleaner. And again, this would fit in exactly the same way as the other fittings. So that would be your flat surface cleaner. So the last accessory would be your snow foam bottle. So again, fits in exactly the same way, push and twist, and that's the snow foam bottle. So again, that has a variable jet on the end which can be altered by rotating, and a regulator on the side here that you can screw in to reduce the foam or unscrew to increase the foam. Just something to show, underneath the flat surface cleaner you'll see it has this rotating head. That's what gives you the swirl pattern, and obviously the brush around the outside will keep you clean while you're washing patio slabs. It keeps the water inboard, so it's a very useful tool. And again, these little nozzles in the end can get blocked if you get dirt in them, so the little nozzle cleaner will work for these as well. So a few good operating procedure tips. Make sure that it's switched off first of all. So push down the button to the off position, push down on the 0, that will be on, that will be off. So that's switched off. Now at this point I can connect up my garden hose and turn on the tap. That will give water just to the front of the machine. And then what I would do is to pull the lance and let all the water from the hose pass through and start to come out the end of the lance. I would leave it for perhaps a minute until all the bubbles are gone and you know that there's no more air in your hose pipe and no more air in this system. That ensures that the pump is full of water. It's a water-cooled pump, so it's full of water, so when we do switch it on, it's going to be perfectly safe. So we can switch it on, pull the trigger, and we're flying away with our pressure washer. So a few other handy little features with it. It has this hook here, so that once you've unraveled your cable, you can loop the cable up and hang it on this hook. Obviously I'm not going to unravel this at the moment. And again, with your lance, let me just disconnect the lance, push the button, disconnect. We know where the hose stores. Disconnect the lance, and as you can see, you can store the lance complete, let's put it that way, in the storage compartments here. Well, there we are, all assembled, all tested, and we're ready to roll. Well, I do hope you found this demonstration useful. For more information on this or any of our other products, visit www.hyundaipowerproducts.co.uk. I've been Adrian, and thank you for watching.